my law partners, Rose Caswick and Kimmy Hogan. Welcome back, Kimmy. We haven't seen you in a little bit. So uh, these two are working for their clients every day, and they've got full schedules. So we're glad that anytime that they can welcome, we can welcome them to the plant. Lori Finn, our marketing director, she's here with us today. And then we have Greg Bird, who is our production manager, who keeps all this stuff going. We really appreciate Greg. But we have a very exciting guest today, Joanna Johnson from Avalon Treatment Centers. Joanna is helping people every day. She helps people every day deal with just normal stresses. But then when you put the blanket of COVID on it, oh my gosh, her resources are being tapped. But she's going to share with us some of the things that are available. No one should have to suffer right now. There's a lot of help out there, and so she's going to help us find out about it. But let's go first to Rose Caswick and find out what our drink of the week is. And especially this week, we need to talk about the mocktail version of it. So Rose, what's up?
Yes, no problem. As usual, we are celebrating a powerful woman, in this case, Serena Williams.
Yay.
Wimbledon star, and this is a Pimm's cup, which is a traditional drink that they drink at Wimbledon. Pimm's is a gin-based liqueur, sort of mixed with fruits and botanicals. It's a secret recipe. And so this is Pimm's, strawberry mint, and ginger beer. And I found some mocktail versions of it, and basically it's like a fruit cup. You use a bunch of different fruits, orange, strawberry, lemon, lime, and you use a lemonade base, and you put some balsamic vinegar in it to get that botanical aspect to it for the
Get out
version. So
now this is lovely. It's beautiful. I almost don't want to drink it. I feel like it's
too beautiful.
On the mint, and I love the strawberry. That's good. I like that. I love it. But in all seriousness, today we're talking about mental health, addiction, how COVID is affecting us, how everything that was already a struggle is a little bit harder now. Kimmy, what are your thoughts on this and our topic, and what else going on in your head and your world after COVID?
Yeah, I'm very excited to have this as a topic, and especially excited to have Joanna here with us today. Right after COVID for me, I was incredibly stressed out and got hives a couple of times. Found that I myself was starting to drink more regularly. And I kept telling myself, oh, it's fine. I just have 1 or 2 beers a night, right? I'm not drinking liquor. It's fine. I started realizing I'm doing this every night.
Yeah.
And I had to look at myself and go, what is happening here? And so it's something that my husband and I actually talked about. We said, we're going to take a break from drinking alcohol for a while, just because it's just becoming too much of a habit.
Yeah.
And all sorts of folks are probably going through this same thing, dipping their toe in that water of just finding something to help them deal with the stress, whether they realize they're doing that or not.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that we have this platform to talk about it today and discuss other different coping strategies for all this stress.
Yeah, it can get away from you because, it's like everything else. If one is good, I bet 2 is better. And if it's great at 5, what it'll feel like at 3. You can creep yourself into a problem in a minute, I think is what's really what I'm feeling about it. Lori, what do you think about our topic today? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, as usual, my mind comes from the perspective of being a mom and how this affects, other moms out there. And that's just my experience. And it's been kind of so easy to incorporate alcohol into everything with the kids and stuff. People come over to my house, I've got beer and wine, and we'll just let the kids play. And it just became more and more of a habit. And I've had to just take, a break from it for a while, because it was just kind of like when the kids are playing, I had a drink.
Right.
And then once you have one, you're so relaxed, and it just makes sense to have another one. What's one more,
Right.
And it goes so quickly. It's like you said, and it's a slippery slope. And there's been several times when I've had to just that's it, no more alcohol in the house for a month.
Yeah.
And it's just a very common thing out there.
You
So
gotta do what you gotta do. And sometimes you're like, this is what I find is like, I just lost a day, not a day, but like I didn't want to drive.
mhm.
I didn't want to go, but I missed this event. I could have done this, but I was sleepy. It's just
Yeah,
like, what do you get for it? But I know what you initially want to get for it. Some people drink just because I like to drink. It's fun.
yeah,
I enjoy it. I feel good. But when we get to the point where we are now, I think with all this crazy extra stress, it's not about just feeling good for a little bit. It's about I want to be numb to my life right
yes.
now. I don't want to be triggered. I am so tired of being stressy. Even if I'm kind of blurred, it's preferable. But is it? You know what I mean? What do you think, Rose?
I feel you 100% on that. I have definitely been drinking more during the pandemic than I normally would, and I live alone, and I'm not going out, so I'm drinking alone, which as they say is bad to do, but I prefer to do everything alone, honestly. I mean, it's just that you're just like, I'll have a drink when I get home, and then you're like, well, I already had a drink. I'm kind of useless for
Right.
doing anything else. I'm not gonna out now. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
run an errand now. So
Yep.
might as well just sit here and
Yeah.
have a few more. So I think, and I'm, someone who has struggled with anxiety and depression in general, and this whole situation has
No.
not helped. So I've, got back on my antidepressants, started doing
Yeah.
CBD oil, doing whatever I can to change the brain chemistry, change the mental dynamic.
No, I get
So
it. I think so many people can relate. And I'm glad, I really appreciate my law partners because whether you like it or not, I have catapulted you into social figures and people look up to you. Your clients do, your staff does. And I like that you're owning it. And I appreciate the honesty. I think that's how we learn and how we grow. Carrie Roan, my law partner, welcome. She just joined us. Carrie, we're talking about mental health. We're talking about addiction. We're talking about things that obviously affect women, and that a lot of times includes domestic violence, anger issues. Joanna's going to bring us a lot of good information on that. But just what are your thoughts on our topic this week, and how are things going for you?
Well, I'm late to the meeting because today has been a shit show. So
What does
welcome
your
to my
shirt
life.
say? Wait, what's your shirt say?
Oh.
Spiritual gangster? What is it?
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, I traveled back from Jacksonville today and got home to my home office, and it's just been
A day.
it's just not easy working from home and having kids at home and a husband at home and clients to keep happy, and it's just hard. It's just hard, and some days are not good. So
You ever just want to have a glass of wine whenever you otherwise probably wouldn't?
yeah, but guess what? I've been told that I'm in early menopause, so now I can't even have wine at night because I wake up with hot flashes. So like that, maybe that's why I'm such a shit show right now. But no, it's,
It's just like everything. It's just like the whole weight of the world coming on us. Joanna,
I think we just all need to recognize that we're all going to have some bad days, and it's okay, and we'll all get through them. So this is already a bright spot in my day, just seeing everybody. So it's nice. On a more serious note, I do have a relative that's very close to me that's struggling right now with some pretty intense addiction issues and relapsing and recovering. And part of it is due to the loneliness of COVID and the depression and the anxiety, not having a job, and worrying and watching the news and worrying even more. And so that's tough on the whole family,
Yeah, throwing that election on it didn't help anything either. Joanna, I want to welcome you again, and I want to hear from you. You've heard what our empowered women are thinking about, and we talked a little bit before we jumped on the Zoom. You have so much to offer us, but first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your orientation, what you're doing, what your mission is, and give us some insight on these things we're struggling with, if you don't mind. And welcome.
So I'll be 80 years old next year.
Love it.
Been a counselor for nearly 35 years, and I am a recovering addict. My first drug was heroin, and I started using heroin at 14, and I got clean at the Woodstock Festival at 31. So I worked at the festival in the so-called trip tent. I lived in Woodstock. And then I went home to Canada and literally went through traditional healing through the sweat lodges, and I've been clean for 50 years.
Wonderful.
I want to make a statement to you all that I think is relevant. 25% of American women who deal with depression and anxiety also have substance abuse disorders.
Wow.
Surprised it's not higher.
Right.
Because you have to remember, that's just the ones that report.
Right.
Right.
So we have no idea what the real numbers are. We just know that these are women who have either gone to their primary and reported because they've gotten on antidepressants or they've gotten on medication, or they've gone through treatment centers. I mean, so that's a scary thing. In 2017, I sat on a board and for the American Addiction Foundation, and I think I told you that 34 million American women and men committed DUI.
How many?
Right now, 34 million.
34. So
year?
10% of our population got a DUI last year.
Not last year, over a period of years. I
Okay.
mean, just over a long period of years.
Gotcha.
But the influence of alcohol is not our major problem. It's when alcohol and pills are mixed.
Mm.
Antidepressant, even some over-the-counter pills, because some over-the-counter pills have side effects such as when you take the bees, they give you energy. You mix alcohol with the bees, and all of a sudden you're up for hours and you're not sleeping well. Unfortunately, in my practice, which is 30 years, 35,000 assessments later,
It's a lot of people.
women tend to drink differently than men.
Say more about that. What do you mean?
Okay, women are emotional drinkers.
Okay.
They drink because they're unhappy. They drink because they're frustrated. They drink because they want to be a part of something. They drink with their partners. Or sometimes they drink because they're looking for an outlet. Men are power drinkers. They drink to be with the boys. They drink for a sports event. They drink to enhance their
Sense of self, probably. Boost
and
themselves
a lot
up.
of it has ego attached to. Women don't drink for ego reasons,
Women don't do many things for ego reasons.
which we should, but we don't. Every year worldwide, 5.3 deaths. That's 1 out of every 20 people die because of alcohol or drug addiction. We're living at a time when everybody's concentrating on the deaths because of the virus, but we've been dealing with these amazingly high numbers of deaths due to addiction for over 25 years, and we're not getting better. I mean, we don't have the money to put people into treatment. We don't have the resources to open more centers. We certainly don't have the resources unless you get a felony to even send you to a state-paid program.
Yeah.
The average treatment is $25,000 to $30,000 a month.
And how many months? And how many months? I mean, and how many trips?
Yeah,
You know, is it a month and you relapse and you do it 2 more times? How does that even work?
these 30-day wonder programs are a waste of time. It takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months just to get the clarity in your brain with sobriety. So you're not doing anything for 30 days, but giving yourself some dry out time, and you're going to go right back to where you are. The average American die every day in alcohol-related accidents. So we call them car accidents, but they're technically suicide.
Yeah.
Because you know that if you don't have the whereabouts to drive a car, you're endangering yourself or someone else, because the brain is a computer. And if the brain is altered with perception, you don't see the same way, you don't have the reflexes the same way, and we don't address that ever. We don't teach in schools about addiction. We should be teaching in elementary schools about the use of medication and the misuse of pills and the misuse, because children watch their parents. They're sponges.
Yeah, if a child sees a parent take a pill every time the parent is uncomfortable, you're teaching take a pill mentality. Yeah, there's got to be a magic pill for whatever's going wrong with me.
I give an example. My little 3-year-old grandchild told me that he gets his dad a beer because he knows that his dad gets happy.
Mhm.
That's a 3-year-old. That's how he perceives his father.
Joanna, I heard today, it was on NPR, I think, but they were talking today about they diagnosed depression in a 3-year-old.
Right. Well, you can't, I mean,
How does that even happen? You know, you would never thought, maybe we just didn't see it before and it was there. I don't know.
I've never heard of diagnostics in a 3-year-old for depression. Usually it's behavioral. Right. And they look at it. You can't diagnose a 3-year-old with.
They can't give you valid feedback, I think, for you to be able to do it.
Well, the brain is informed. I mean, the brain has not developed to be able to do that. So you have things like behavioral issues, or you have focus issues. But look what we do as a society. If we have focus issues, we give children Ritalin.
Here's a
All Ritalin is methamphetamine.
You know, let me get some input real quick from some of the people on our panel. You know, Kimmy, you've got young children, and your children, and Lori and Carrie, you've got teenagers and middle school and high school age kids. You know, they all struggle. But think about if somebody came up to you and said in an elementary school, because I think, Joanna, you're an MSW, aren't you? Aren't you like your credential and then your LCSW? I'm an MSW. I never got my LCSW. But
I'm not an LCSW. My master's is in clinical counseling, but I'm a forensic counselor besides. So I have forensic degrees, and then I have sex offender treatment specialization.
Yeah, I'm sure you got. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about that, sex trafficking, and I want to talk about domestic violence, because that has also increased. I want to do a whole gamut. But Kimmy, back to you, and Carrie and Lori. If your children are in the school system and they're struggling like any kid would be right now, how can your kid be normal right now? There is no normal. Does anybody ever approach you about medication or saying, because when my daughter was in school, she's very strong-willed. This is many, many years ago. And they said, oh, you know, you need to have her looked at or whatever. And I had a therapist come out and observe her. And they said, no, you just got a strong-willed little girl. What they're saying is she's a pain in their ass. And they want you to do something
Been
about
there.
it. So are y'all having any of that? And what are you feeling about the things Joanna's talking about and your own experiences with that? Carrie.
I haven't had anybody approach me about medication, and I think in the school system now the pendulum has swung the other way and it's more about counseling. But really where I've seen the most lack of focus and the most stress in my kids is over the past 6 months, and they've been home with me. So that's really me telling me, kind of evaluating constantly, what should I do? What should I do? Is this a red flag? Is this a trigger? And that's part of what has happened to me today is my kids are not focused, and it pulls me away from work to try to get them focused. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing such a terrible job. They're not focused. Do they have ADD? Do I need to get them evaluated? Because I don't have any other resources right now to help me make those decisions. You know, overall, I think I'm just overreacting, and I think everything is okay. But to answer your question, I think the pendulum right now, at least in the school that my kids go to, which Lori's kids go to as well, is more about counseling than anything else, luckily.
It's almost like this whole defunding the police thing. Nobody's saying don't pay police officers or don't have police officers. Can we not be that ridiculously basic when we consider things like this? No, what they're saying is reorient police to being more community police, people who are helpers, you know, more so. And so I love that. And I love what you're saying, which is instead of, and let's think about this. Why would we ever put little children on medication? Because of the way we used to fund schools. It used to be better to have a kid disabled because of a diagnosis and put on medication. That way that child is not considered in the statistics that fund the school. So there's usually always some sort of a money motivation behind bad policy. If you just pull back literally one layer, it's not a deep thing. It's usually thinly veiled that this is a money problem. But Lori, what's going on with you and your kids, and what are you feeling about what Joanna's talking about?
So my kids, I haven't been approached either for medication with them. Our school is really about a lot of counseling, like Carrie said. And when I went through a divorce, they set up a whole counseling. They invited my children to go to this. I didn't even know it was there. They had it. And my children went and they loved it. And I didn't even know that was a thing. And they definitely struggled a little bit during that. And I was glad that they had the counseling. But in our house, we talk a lot about being careful with alcohol and things like that. And in fact, my kids will be like, Mom, you're having another glass?
Yeah.
Jeez, you know?
Sometimes
like,
they're your little inner voice. You don't have an inner voice, you got a little external voice that's saying, really?
Yeah, they see you, and I have to think about that. Sometimes I'm like, leave me alone. I'm an adult. I can make my decision, but at the same time, I almost feel like I need to follow it up with, but I recognize that, and you're right. I've got to keep an eye on this. This is something, you know, it's good that we're looking at this together. This is important stuff.
Yeah. It's
you know,
like you said, it's self-medication.
Yes.
Or it's just, look, this sucks. Let's just have a drink. You know, that first drink was fantastic. Let's have another drink.
Well, and so to kind of play on what Lori said, one point, what we're doing in my household too is, you know, I have some very, very close family members that are currently going through addiction and relapse and rehab. And we talk about it very openly with the kids. And we let them know what's going on and why the behaviors are happening this way. And so we want them to see that this is what drug abuse can do to a person and a family. And it's not pretty.
In 2018, 4% of grade 12s admitted that they were used or have used cocaine at least once in school or after.
Cocaine? In high school.
That's right.
And I always think of that as an expensive drug. Who has the money? Who has access to cocaine?
Well, they have a lot of money. You know, they end up with lunch money, and then they end up. But marijuana, 1 out of every 4.
Well, I think Dana, I think cocaine and crack are like the cheap drugs now. What I think is the popular stuff. Stuff are the designer drugs,
especially methamphetamine.
I thought meth was. I don't know all this. You know, and here's another thing. I wanted to ask Rose this. Rose, when you were growing up, did you see and observe substance consumption, whatever it was, if you're willing to share it, with people you respect, or was that around you, or how did you see people using alcohol and stuff?
My parents drank just casually, I think. I don't recall, recall maybe 1 or 2 times seeing somebody impaired, but it was not a normal thing at all. Like that was wine with dinner or beers on the weekend or whatever. Interestingly, I just had a death in my family and was in Tennessee with the extended family. And I think everyone in my family probably drinks casually in their own homes. You know, my parents do, I do, I think my aunt and uncles and cousins do, but that's never been part of our family gathering. Like we all get together, we really don't. We just hang out, we eat, we talk. No drinking, I never. And and I don't think that's any one person in particular being like the stick in the mud and killing it for everybody else. But this recent trip, there was drinking. After my grandfather died, we were all there, or actually everybody was there, and I had called up there before going up to find out something about arrangements. And we're looking at photos, we're planning on writing the obituary, and we've got a bottle of Jack. And I'm like, oh, that's new. So, and again, nobody drank to excess. It was not a problem. Pretty much everybody is an adult. There's like one 18-year-old and everybody else is old. But it was a change. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Do you think it was just the let your hair down, someone's dead? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that everyone's been so stressed, and this is the second, death in that immediate family in the last couple of months. And so it's just like, F it, man. Like, let's
what the hell?
Calm down. And they went out to the liquor store and we got lost going to the liquor store. I'm like, this has never happened. But it was fun.
I want to ask Joanna, because this is very important to us on the EmPower plant and the EmPower Hour, how things affect women. And you mentioned something when we were speaking a minute ago the increase in domestic violence and the prevalence of domestic violence, you know, in the home right now, everybody together, you know, I worry about children having to be at home for many reasons. A lot of it, you know, again, comes from being a social worker. I know that a lot of children get meals in school, and so I worry about how they're going to eat. But then they also, that's also a respite from a very unhappy home life sometimes. And sometimes when we put everybody in the house together, we get domestic violence. Joanne, what can you tell us about that? Joanne, I'm sorry.
Well, domestic violence doesn't have an economic line. Unfortunately, we see domestic violence in very wealthy homes. We see domestic violence in separated homes. We see it in economically frozen homes. We see it in, we also see it, unfortunately, growing because people don't know how to communicate. And so they get so frustrated with each other and they're around each other so much because so many people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And so they're home.
Yeah.
And home isn't a happy place right now. It's not a happy place when your mortgage is up, when you don't have gas, when your children aren't eating the way they should. It's not.
And you're having to ask people to help. You know, that's a pride wound. You know, so many times I think for men, it's like everything that they hold dear. I'm a protector and I'm a provider. When that gets taken away from them, they just flail. They don't know what their place in the world is or where they fit in. And people hurt the people who love them the most sometimes.
And sometimes women are so used to being taken care of that when they can't be taken care of anymore, the fighting starts and it's relentless. And children are watching this and hearing it. You know, I remember we have 10 programs a week online. We're all Zoom. So we have people from all over the state that can come into our classes. You don't have to be here in Tallahassee to come into our classes. We're licensed all over the state, and I'm licensed as an expert all over the state. So I'm in a lot of courts. And one of the things I've noticed is the lack of communication because of not only frustration, because economics play a tremendous part in communication.
Sure.
When things are good, you're able to talk because you're able to be able to do things. But when things aren't, somebody feels guilty.
Yeah.
And when guilt starts coming into this, then tempers flare. Mix that with alcohol, mix that with drugs, mix that with grass, mix that with even CBC oils or medical marijuana. You've got a disaster on your hands. My interns are sitting here with me, and they're the most wonderful women. And we do 5, 6 a day? And we do probably ranges from people who are professionals to people who are right now not sure how they're going to eat tomorrow.
Right.
And we see this, so we don't charge. I mean, sometimes we're not sure we're going to pay our staff because we don't charge someone who can't eat that I'm going to keep them out of a program that's going to keep them from going to jail. I can't do that.
You can't do it.
I mean, you can't do that. I mean, you have to live with yourself also.
May I ask something? May I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
How do you keep your mental health where it needs to be when you are helping so many people who are struggling? You have so few resources that they need. You have some that you would like to provide. Sometimes it's so hard to get them to them. Money is an issue. How do you keep your wellness?
Well, I, for one, am very blessed because I've got a really big family. I have 5 children. I have 13 grandchildren. My nexus is to be able to see my grandchildren. So I'll travel to wherever they are, and that's my joy, and that's my relaxation, is to watch my grandchildren. The hell with my children, they can figure it out. My grandchildren are so wonderful. That's your gift. Your grandchildren are your gift.
I'm looking forward to that.
I also have to thank my team. I have the most amazing, and the two of them are sitting here next to me. I have the most amazing women in the world that work for me.
That's
They're all,
wonderful.
some of them are new in the field and are my interns, but they're part of our team. We don't make it where we have a boss. We're a team.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we sit all together. If somebody needs a day off, they have the day off.
Yeah.
If you have your mental health day, take it.
Now you tell me again, you said this before. Tell me about the women in your practice. How many of the women and tell me all about that. I love all the women stuff.
We started this practice 25 years ago with 3 women, Dana, Nikki, and I. And now we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 6 women and 1 man. And he doesn't dare take on the women.
No, he's smart.
That's what we tell him to do. My interns are part of our team, so they do most of the assessments that are coming in, and they're wonderful at it. And when I don't have them anymore, I think I'm going to absolutely panic because they've just been so amazing.
I'll be here after.
Well,
And they want to come and stay with me after they graduate. We're going to try and have a place for them because I can't replace these girls.
you know what? I think it's your energy that draws them to you. I want to do one more thing before we conclude today. I'd like to go to each one of our panel members and ask you, if you're willing to share it, what your secret is for keeping it together right now and what you can offer to other women for that. And then I want to conclude with Joanna just giving us a rundown of what her what services are out there, where they can find them, and what we can do to help people. And Joanna, we will absolutely put these on the EmPower plan, share it all over. But let me start with Lori. Lori, how do you keep saying, lady?
Shoosh, I don't know that I do, but I will say what I have to do in order to.
Yeah, she works for me, you know. That's another layer.
3 boys and Dana. So, but what I have to do sometimes is a lot of times I am looking for a glass of wine when I get home, honestly. And I've had to kind of retrain my actions in my brain to be busy doing something else in order to not keep doing that. And so I bought myself a little cheap exercise machine, but it's something easy that I can just get up because I have to do something. And that glass of wine was me doing something.
Or it turns your button off. See, like me, like I feel like I could do something all the time. I'm like, oh, that wine will just turn Dana off a minute.
Right.
You know, it's like the thought of doing cocaine is so crazy to me. Like, does anybody want more Dana? No. So for me, I'm always trying to go down.
Yeah.
You said it, not us.
And Carrie, what about you though? I know you're big on exercise. Is that your silver bullet?
Clear. In case I wasn't clear earlier, I did not have my shit together today, y'all. Like it was a mess. So, but you know, I'm hard on myself, I guess. But what do I do?
You're too hard on yourself, in my observation. Yeah.
It's definitely exercise for me. You know, like if I'm playing soccer, I'm out there for 2 hours kicking the soccer ball around. And I don't think about a thing, not one thing. Nobody can reach me on the phone. I don't think about work, kids, nothing. And so really that's my cathartic moment or my catharsis or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Rose?
Oh, what's my coping mechanism? Is being an iron-fisted control freak coping mechanism.
That way. I would not. You're the most eclectic. Yeah. You have so many varied interests. I mean, I don't know how you have time to be a lawyer because you're into so many things that everybody goes, you know, I should make some time to get into that or do a craft or do a hobby or take up a podcast or watch every movie from somebody I really like. But seriously though, you do live alone like me. So how do you deal with it?
Again, I think it is finding something to do. And for me, it's like reading a book or watching a movie or doing a cross stitch, something that I want to focus on and want to be able to, you know, keep the plot of. I don't want to be falling asleep, you know, trying to watch a movie. I want to, you know what's going to happen in the movie. So that is helpful to just just have something to do. And I keep a rotation of things to do. I'll bounce from TV in this room to cross stitch to go outside and sit outside and read and, you know, just keep.
It sounds
Keep it
very
going.
healthy. I like it. Kimmy, what are you doing? I think back, when I think of Kimmy, I think back to when well, I have one child, but raised some other, but I just think back to when the children were that age. And I don't remember having a free minute to think about myself and how I felt. You know what I mean? I don't remember one thing about Dana. I remember about what Dana did for other people. But Kimmy, what are you doing to keep it together?
Oh, I have yoga. And my husband is supportive. He every day goes, "You want to go to yoga? Why don't you go to yoga? Go to yoga. I got the kids. Go to yoga."
Good.
And it gives me the relaxation, the exercise. It gives me a minute to have silence and peace.
Yeah.
It's just done wonders for me. So that's what I'm doing, and I feel good.
Yeah. I make myself exercise, and I do like it. I'm so glad for it, because even if I have a day, like Carrie said, if I have a shit day, if I got my exercise in, I feel like, okay, you know, that's something. And then whenever you start patting yourself on the back for those little things, then you start feeling better about yourself altogether. I think for me, the thing is just to not ever let it get ahead of me. You know, whatever negativity is, whatever anxiety, you know, I've struggled with depression. I tell people that that's nothing I'm ashamed of. It's, you know, I think everybody does at a certain point, but I try to work very hard to keep my mood up. And it helps, honestly, having all of you all depending on me having my shit together. For me, it's always been, you don't have time for this meltdown. You've got something to do. And so I'm grateful for my calendar. I'm grateful for the people who depend on me, because they keep me between the ditches. But let's just wrap up once more with our guest. Joanna, what would you like to leave us with today?
Okay, so just to give you some easy things to do. If you can take a hot shower and turn your bathroom into a steam room, and how you do that is just by having 2 shower curtains so that it holds the steam in. That water as hot as you can get it, step back and just breathe in. That'll knock you out and put you to sleep.
Wow.
That's good.
Take a walk and appreciate where you are. That is probably one of the easiest way to decompose. Just look around where you are. If you live in the country, I'm blessed. I live in South Chopper. Nobody even knows where that is.
Beautiful there.
Except Dana. So if I go outside and I'll walk and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But find a place that's pretty. That's your place. If you have a house, make a little place in your yard for your meditation spot.
Yeah.
And set it up as a little meditation spot and go out there and make it private. Don't make it for the kids. That's your spot. I shared something with Jimmy the other day. I'd like to read it to you. My sponsor would say this to me all the time. It's my mantra. And it says, those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly.
Yes.
If you can only remember that this is a time thing, just because you're depressed today doesn't mean you have to be depressed tomorrow.
Right.
If you have to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night and put those blankets over your head, do it. You're entitled to it. We need to stop punishing ourselves as women and feeling that we have to be on all the time. No, we don't.
So
We
true.
can have downtime, and we can have sad days, and we can feel like hell. And it's a time thing. That doesn't mean you're going to feel like that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do that in our group. So I just want to show you, these are our books. They're published and we make them available to anyone. And we
She's
have,
she's sending those to me, and we're going to promote those and make them available for everybody on the EmPower plan.
so one of the things I think we need to do is promote women's health.
Yes.
Women's mental health. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to throw a tantrum. What isn't okay is to carry it on and not let it pass.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get sick.
Yeah.
It's okay for it to be how you feel at the moment. And the last thing I want to say is, ladies, don't suppress your feelings, man. If you're feeling a certain way, that's a legitimate feeling. You don't have to be anything for anyone else other than for yourself. Because when you're strong for yourself, that's when you're good for everyone else, especially your children.
I
That's
totally
right.
agree with that. I 100% agree with that. And we're so bad at it. But that's what I'm hoping to do with this EmPower plan. I'm trying to, I think we all are, trying to get women to think of themselves differently. You know, you're not, I mean, you may be the rock of your family, but that doesn't mean you don't crack sometimes and you don't get to do that. I remember when I was pregnant, I had postpartum depression pretty bad. And my doctor, I went in for a post checkup or whatever, and he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "I'm just not having this joyful, warm, effusive thing that I had planned for. This breastfeeding is not working out. And all I want to do is eat chocolate chip cookies and drink chocolate milk all day."
And he said, go do it.
And you know what he said?
Go do it.
Drink the chocolate milk and the chocolate chip cookies. He was basically saying it's okay to feel this way. And you found something that helps with it, and that's okay. But I was thinking my own thing, I'm a broken person. I'm not a good mother. Something's wrong with me. And I think women do that to ourselves over and over again because we are always supposed to be the ones who have it together. We're the backbone of the family. And I just think we need to sometimes go, oh, this sucks. And I get to experience this sucking, and there's nothing wrong with me because of it.
I think there's one more thing that I'd like to mention is
Yeah.
somebody that isn't a gospel.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's very easy to tell your story to someone and they tell it to 40 other people and then you don't have somebody to go back to.
Okay.
Pick your mentor as somebody that you trust. And take time. It's like in AA when you pick a sponsor. You're not supposed to like that person. You're supposed to want to learn from that person.
Gotcha.
So do
Because
the same
sometimes it's
thing.
painful. Yeah. Sometimes it's painful.
Do the same thing with somebody you need to talk to. And Avalon is available. We've been doing it for 25 years. God willing, I'm going to do it for another few. And we're going to be here. So we're here.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Thank you to all of our people on the panel tonight for coming out. And we're going to post, again, some resources for you. You shouldn't have to go it alone. And I'm so glad that there are people like Joanna who are sensitive to the unique needs women have and what we're struggling with right now. And I'm so appreciative to everybody on the panel for sharing these deep, things, because guess what? You're normalizing it for other people. You're making them feel like they can express themselves. So you're doing something really good here, all of you. But I really, really appreciate you coming here tonight, Joanna. So this is another edition of the EmPower Hour. We're going to take next week off for Thanksgiving and hope you count your blessings and express your gratitude, see your gratitude, see the good things in your life and act on it next week. And we will see you the week after. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.